there guys, this is Malorian, and this is going to be kind of a video that's really out of my element. Normally I'll talk to you about how battle reports are, or maybe I'll be talking about tactics, or something like that, some sort of review, but I never really touched the hobby part of it. Even though I do really like converting, I don't really make videos on that, and I really don't make any videos about painting. You know, really, if you want to get good and learn from a master of painting, I mean, go look at guys like Kieran Dunleavy or Once Bitten. You know, they can show you those high-class level of painting to really try and win those painting awards, get the big painting scores, and all the rest of it. However, I feel I have a style of painting that really is not really covered by what Kieran Dunleavy and Once Bitten typically do. And that's going to be this. This is going to be speed painting. And it's a whole different world. Now, where this really comes from is a while back, we had the whole debacle with blue table painting, and, you know, I'm not going to get into what actually happened there and all the rest of it, but the big comment that I made was just that when everybody started really looking, just really looking what blue table painting does, it's really very simple what they do. I mean, really, their whole process is set up to be as fast as possible, and that's why they have these very fast techniques to get tabletop standard very quickly. And I thought it was really good that people could now see, when they're really analyzing the models, just how simple this stuff is. I mean, that's not really to take away everything from blue table painting. I mean, when they do their higher level painting, they have to really get in there and get the shades and all the rest of it. But when you're doing the tabletop quality stuff, I mean, you can really pump that stuff out with some very, very, very quick techniques. And when I said that, I got a whole bunch of likes, people agreed with it, and then I kind of went a step further, and I kind of said that whoever goes out for these painting commissions are typically either lazy or cheaters. And whoa, that caught a lot of fire. Now, part of that for me saying the cheaters was talking about those who had sent off the models to get them painted just to get better painting scores in tournaments. So that's a whole nother topic that we're not going to touch here. What I'm going to talk about is this other one. And man, again, I mean, calling people lazy, wow, people are just freaking out. But it was hilarious that I make one comment saying that, well, look at this stuff that's so fast and easy. And then when I tell people who don't do these really fast and easy things that they agreed were really fast and easy, when I go to say that they might be lazy? Whoa. I mean, I don't, like, I could have been making jokes about their mom, they got so mad, right? So what I thought I'd do here is a video that really touches on speed painting, some of the different techniques, and why it's actually not such a bad thing, and we'll just kind of really jump right into it. So why would you speed paint? I mean, really, don't you want your stuff to look as good as possible? Well, really, the answer right there is very, very straightforward. You want to do speed painting for the speed. So be it that you want to have an army ready for a tournament in time, or maybe it's just a thing where if you do the really highly detailed models, it burns you out. And I mean, you get through one model, and then you realize you have 100 more, and you're like, screw this, I just can't do it. Whereas if you go into it with a speed painting frame of mind, you can get in there, you can paint everything up really quick, and you're like, hey, everything's done. Now, there's a couple of different methods of the speed painting. I'm going to kind of cover all the different real degrees of it, let's say, because there's the really fast stuff, and then there's, you know, the stuff that's kind of really still fast, and then stuff that takes a little bit more time, but still is way faster than anything else. Now, let's talk about one of the very easiest ones to do, and that might be something here that I call the 5-minute model. Now, this is something, if you're looking at my last paint-a-sode, I was going to be painting this guy there. I didn't have time, and I said, hey, I might as well do this. So I put myself to 5 minutes and did as much as I could. And this is what he comes out as. And one of the things you might be able to notice is, looking from what you're seeing there, is that he is a person with a sword on his back. He has a pistol in his hand. You know, you can see his skin and his blonde hair and his pants. And you can tell what he is. Now, one of the unfortunate things with this, that is black on a black base. If I was just to throw some basing material on there, it would make it jump out a little bit more. But the main thing is that from this view, what we're looking at, it's just fine. You know exactly what's going on with this model. However, if I was to bring it way closer, you start noticing that I missed a whole bunch of details, that a lot of it's really crude, really fast. You know, I got some stuff on the collar there. It was a little bit sloppy. Down on the pants, a little bit sloppy. But that's really one of the key things about speed painting and why almost it's laughable. Or no, I don't want to say laughable because I don't want to take away from all the artists out there, but why it sometimes doesn't even seem worth it to do that really high quality. And that's because you get these guys and they spend so much time on their models. You know, we were talking hours and hours and hours on a model, and they're pieces of art. They're works of art. They're amazing. But they really just don't get even the respect that they deserve. Because for the most part, when you're playing a game, you're playing it, you know, probably most of the time 3 feet away from all the models that you're up against. And you're not going to really get from that how good the army is. I mean, you can tell whether it's not painted or painted, but when you start going from that gradient of done and complete to amazing, you know, that starts getting really gray. Unless you grab the model and look at it really close, you don't really even see that. You know, sure, if you're going for painting competitions or the Golden Demon or whatever, then it's important because judges will be grabbing your models and looking at it here. But just like this, all I did is I looked at the model. I said, what are the main things I need to do? Well, it's going to be based off black. It's made black, right? Hopefully you have it with an airbrush or a spray or something, or you can just quickly just paint it on if you need to. But you got to figure out that first main color, and that's going to cover the whole thing. Then I take a look at what's the main things that needs to come out. Well, I'm going to need to pull out his skin, the fact that he has weapons. You know, those weapons are very important for what this model is, and then I could do a couple of maybe smaller details as well as I need to kind of make it look at not just black. And so that's what I did. In those 5 minutes, first, quick. I just do all the skin. Done. Then, wherever the metal was, quick, done. Then, whenever they're supposed to be white, which is really just the collar, the pants, and that's really it. Quick, done. And then because I saw I had more time left on this 5-minute model, I did the hair yellow, because that's something that's, you know, if you notice black hair on black coat, okay, that's a bit lazy, but now that's a little bit different. And you know what? In that 5 minutes, I even did the eyes. I even dotted the eyes, got them all good to go, and I could go to a tournament, and this would be tournament legal, assuming I based it, which is really easy after, right? I've gone in, I've done my 3 colors, the person across from me can easily tell what this model is and what weapons it has. Job done. And that's 5 minutes. 5 minutes! So, definitely something to really keep in mind there. Now, another one that you can really go to, and what I like to accredit this one to is I learned this from Vol. Whenever I looked at Vol SC's armies, I'm like, wow, these are amazing. They're all great. And he is a really good painter, but he also let go a couple of secrets as well that he does for his speed painting. Whenever he wants something just done really quick, or when he's doing something as a commission really quick for somebody, what he does is this more of a wash, dry brush method. So what I did here for this one is this is just an orc from the old Hero Quest type thing. So what you want to do in his method for this here is you're going to be figuring out what's the main color that you want for this model. So just like I said black for the last one, for this one, well, I said orc. I want it to be basically green, right? And then what I'd be doing then after that is really just pulling out one other color. So on this one, I might be saying brown. You know, this guy has some brown clothes on it. Guess might help if I actually shake this stuff up. But one of the things when you're picking these colors, I should say, is that you don't want stark contrasts. You want colors that are very similar and very light. And what that is going to do is help blend the model together so that it's kind of hard to tell where one color starts and the other one ends. And this paint's almost empty. But that's why, I mean, this one's even a little bit of a darker green. If I was specifically doing this for that, I'd be wanting to go for more of a darker green. Lighter green. And really, I'm going to do is all the parts here where he has clothes, I'm just going to be painting on that brown. And I mean, I can even be a little bit sloppy here. Doesn't really matter. Just really, skin is going to stay green. Clothes are going to go to brown. You know, even he has chainmail armor on him. I don't care. It's not skin, so it's going to brown. And I'm just going to go through, and I'm going to keep on painting that. His shoes, too. I could give him brown shoes. Really, really fast. And after I'm done dropping him, I could say, okay, is there maybe one more highlight color I want to get out there? And I'd say, well, he's holding this sword up in the air. I might want to actually paint that guy up, just so it actually kind of shows off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly do that silver really, really quick. Again, I could go back and I could say, okay, he's wearing that chainmail vest. I really want to be doing that one. He has little trinkets on him. I may want to be painting those too. But you know what? No, we're not going to be doing that. This is all for speed. This is all for ease. And really, that's going to be it. What I've done just right now, that's all I'm going to be painting. And again, you can already kind of see that at this distance here, you can see it's an orc. You know, he got green skin, he's wearing some clothes, he has a sword. You can tell exactly what he has. But one of the things that, just like this 5-minute model that I did here, it really doesn't really show off very well when you look very much closer. Right away, you see like, oh, this is a speed job, and it really shows off really quick. Well, this is where you start doing your dry brushes in your wash. So now I'm going to take a white, and I'm going to shake this one up. I'm going to get some of it on my brush. That's way too much for what I want for dry brushing. I'm going to spread it around so that I just have a little bit on my brush here. That's still probably too much. And I'm just going to quickly put it all over the model. And all that's going to do is catch all the raised areas and add a little bit more detail to it. So a little bit more shading, let's call it. So that when you're looking at this, it pulls off that detail a little bit quicker. And again, I mean, if I hold it right up, if I'm holding about this far, you can probably now see like, oh wow, you know, compared to the last one I showed, this one looks like it has more work done, because you can actually see a little bit more of the details. If I come up even closer, and of course it's not going to focus on the model, but it would be kind of obvious that it is dry brushed. So what's the next step? I'm going to put this away, and I'm going to take my wash. Now, I don't use the Devlin mud like he uses, which works way better. I'm going to have to use my own Malorian wash that I use here. But I'm just going to take that now, and I'm just going to wash the model. Put it all over. Wash it down. That's going to now, I mean, whereas the white wash, or white dry brush, got everything that was raised, this now is going to get everything that's underneath. Now, unfortunately, I did not wait for this to dry, so I'm getting a little bit of silver bleed on the model as well. But that's why I used an old HeroQuest model. But anyway, what you start getting here is something that I really spent almost no time at all. And it's like, hey, yeah, you know, like that guy looks okay. Again, if I actually took a couple of seconds to put some rocks on the base, that contrast would look even more. But all of a sudden, this is where I'm saying that this is a step above this, right? This is really the 5-minute model, and then this has a few more steps to it. And, of course, you probably want to time it out a little bit more just so that the different steps can dry. But as you saw here, really, really, really quickly done on this model, and I would have no problem bringing this to a tournament, right? This is tournament legal, it's good to go, and especially if I have to do lots and lots of these models, I'm definitely going to go with this method because I can paint, you know, a horde of 40 guys like this in an hour, right? I can easily do this, no problem, and it's done. Now, let's talk about one. I mean, I can talk all day about things I could do. Let's talk about something I did do. Well, when I first got to Orcs and Goblins, and here's my good old Orcs and Goblins here, I had to paint up my first army in a month. to be done for the tournament. So this is a big 2,500, whatever it was, tons and tons of models. How many models would it be? I know there's at least 100 of these guys. There's at least another block of 25, plus a bunch of chariots and things like that. So we're talking in the range of, let's say, 140 models-ish, and that had to be done in a month. So definitely something you can't just spend lots and lots of time on. You had to go. And so what I started doing here was batch painting. And what you really want to do with that is think of a color scheme that you want to be doing for your units. Now, again, when you look at one model, you can kind of really see where things were missed and things were done. But when you're in a block of 40 models, things blend together. And as long as things are just done, you just see it there. And it's like, oh, it's all good. And so that's what I did here. I would be taking my orcs 5 or 10 at a time, lining them up, and I would say, again, okay, I'd even have my paints in a row of what I'm going to be painting for all of them. So first thing that I do for all of these, it was black. Everything went black. After I was done with black, I did the green. So in all these ones, wherever I saw a skin down here, on the arms, on the face, green. Done. Now, I decided that whenever I painted this, I was going to have black shoes, black pants, a brown shirt, brown bindings, a wood shield, and then wherever there was silver on the shield, the shoulder pads, or on the edges here of the shield or the helmet, I'd be painting those. And of course yellow on here. But basically, I came up with a set style I was going to paint everything in. And I just started batching it, right? And it makes that really easy. If you're doing one model at a time, and you're trying to pick these things out, it can actually take a lot longer as you're trying to pick out all the small details. When I was doing this batch painting, details did not matter. For example, looking at this one here, I can see that he has a lot of little charms and things coming off of his belt. I guess you wouldn't call them charms, or probably be, war trophies or keepsakes, or what, not keepsakes either, but either way, I didn't bother with that. Nope, pants are black, that's done. On some of the other orc models, they actually have like these rivets going in their leather armor. Don't care. I said that the shirt's going to be brown. Brown is done. Oh, this one here is actually chainmail. Don't care. Shirt is brown. Done. And again, if you look at any one of those models, it's like, wow, he really didn't pull out that detail. On this guy here, there's stitching going up the back. Couldn't you make that white or something? No. Everything is the same. And when you look at this block, when he's a block of 40, you don't notice that. It is a painted block of orcs that I was able to do very, very quickly. Now, something I want to talk about with this speed painting is the whole idea of going back. Now, when you do the 5-minute model and you are painting these up here, you are really just saying, hey, I'm going to pick the fastest ones, I'm going to paint them, and I'm going to be done. The nice thing is that, let's say I had to do this for a tournament. When the tournament's done, I can still go back here and continue. If I want to paint this little strap going across his chest, if I want to be adding more details to the gun, do more on his goggles, whatever I want to do, there is nothing holding me back from doing more details on these guys. If I come over here to the Vol Wash dry brush one, this gets a little bit harder. I've already done the dry brush, I've already done the wash, and if I want to go back, and if I want to start picking out more details, it's a little bit tough, because then once I put on a new detail, you'll see it. All of a sudden, oh, that doesn't have that dry brush on it. That doesn't have the wash. And it's actually really going to stand out. What you'd actually need to kind of do, like let's say I've decided, on his arm, I want to get his bracelet now. Well, I'd have to paint his bracelet, I'd have to re-dry brush it, and I'd have to re-wash it again. So it's a lot more work to try and move this one after. How about for the line painting, where I just decide that, okay, the shirt is this, the pants is this is this, everything's the same, go, 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 go. For the most part, you can also add on to these too. In mine, I do my Malorian wash after, which is really just a watered down black, but all I would really need to do is, let's say I wanted to do those little war trophies on his belt. I just paint those on, and I can just do that little wash on top. or even not, right? Because this is going to be a block of 40. You're not going to really realize it. And again, I guess talking about with that batch painting, if you are really looking at a block of like 40 guys, if you are going to go back and do those details, you probably just need to worry about the front. You know, if you are looking at a block of models and you're holding up the tray, you're going to notice those front rank models really well. The guys in the back, man, I mean, maybe you've only done a couple of the layers of paint on them, but because they're so back and because the mind's eye looks at the front model first and things kind of blur as you go back, you almost don't even notice that stuff sometimes. So again, if you do want to go back and do those details on something that's more batch paint, make sure you do that starting with the front models, and then you can always continue on if you really have the time. Now, I guess the next thing I want to talk about here for the speed painting, and the reason why I feel that some people who would go out and spend thousands and thousands of dollars to get somebody else to paint their models is just that this is so easy. And it makes such a huge improvement on the game. I mean, if I'm playing with the silver models or the gray plastic models, it doesn't, I mean, it has the feel of the game, but it doesn't have that, like, that spirit of the game to it, you know? Like, if I'm playing orcs versus dwarves, and it's plastic versus plastic, it's like, okay, I'm thinking more tactically as far, and not so much about the lore. Whereas, if it's painted up orcs and it's painted up dwarves, you know, like, oh boy, they actually get more into the game and get more of the feel. And that doesn't need to go to that really high level of painting. It can really easily be this speed painting. I mean, go through and do your 5-minute models, right? You can easily do this. I mean, who cannot spend 5 minutes a day to do one model a day? That is so easy. And you know, some models are more complicated than others. I mean, let's say you were painting a troll compared to painting a Bretonnian knight. Okay, those two things are not equal, and the Bretonnian knight will show off more poorly to a speed paint job as opposed to the troll, which you can really speed paint that thing really easily, and it won't be caught as much. So there is that to keep in mind as well. But man, I mean, for guys who are willing to spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, all I'm saying is, guys, try and do it yourself. It's almost like, you know, with you hear with the girls and looking up to the Barbie image. Like, oh, wow, I'll never be pretty enough. I'll never be skinny enough. And you get the same thing with gamers. Oh, wow, my model will never look as good as his. I might as well not even try. I might as well just have to ship it off and pay thousands of dollars so that it can be done by somebody else, just so I can not feel the shame of playing beside this other guy. It's not like that at all. Paint your stuff. Take that time and just get it done with. The biggest thing I can say for this, past just the idea of speed painting, is just to keep painting. The last thing you want to do is look at your hundreds of models and say, oh man, this is going to take forever. You know, when I painted up that 2,500 points of orcs and goblins for that tournament, if I would have just laid out all the models and like, oh man, this is never going to get done, I'm just going to grab a beer and watch some TV, you know, nothing gets done. But what I said is, okay, I'm going to do this day, this day, this day, this day, and I made sure that I just kept on doing that little bit every single day. You know, I wasn't swimming in extra loads of time. I still had, you know, my job. I still had to do all the housework. I still had to deal with the dog. I still had to spend time with the wife. But you just sneak in, you know, that maybe up to an hour every day. And even if you don't have enough time for an hour, 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes a day. So there you go. Again, I guess I want to kind of put the little caveat on this that sure, some people, you know, oh, they're colorblind or they have nerve damage or whatever, where they can't really do it themselves. I'm not talking about them, and you really shouldn't feel like I'm personally attacking you by calling you lazy. Really, what you should be taking away from what I'm saying here is that painting your models can be something that can be really enjoyable. I know for myself, whenever I've had a really busy day, I can just sit down, paint. This is kind of like my little zen area, and I can watch a video or listen to music. And if nothing else, It's just something that when you're done and you have an army that you painted yourself, even if it is speed painted, right? Even if the army is full of 5-minute paint jobs, you have that satisfaction of saying, I painted this. And it's not, oh, Jimmy painted it. He's a really good painter. I'm going to use his stuff. And I guess the last little warning I want to have about that stuff too is that if you do decide to not do your own paint job and to get somebody else to do it for you, well, what happens when you want to expand the army? Are you going to somehow paint it yourself? Are you going to then pull up the bootstraps and paint that extra model? There's a new unit that comes out, a new army book, and all of a sudden you need new armies. Do you just have to sell the army and start all over again? Hopefully that guy's still there, maybe to paint stuff for you, but if he's not, what are you going to do? So either way, there you have it. Some very easy techniques for painting, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.